The weight of her name. They thought framing a black teenager would be easy. They figured nobody powerful would notice. No one important would care. They forgot one crucial detail. Her brother could flip the entire courtroom on its head. Taylor Monroe never imagined a quick trip to a strip mall in Tempe, Arizona, could put her entire future at risk. At 17, she was already accepted into Stanford's pre-law program. Her teachers called her brilliant. Her track coach called her unstoppable, and her parents, both middle school educators, couldn't have been prouder. That Saturday was supposed to be uneventful. Finals were 2 weeks away, and Taylor needed a new backpack. Her old one had finally fallen apart. She headed to a discount store called Bargain Central. It wasn't glamorous, but it was affordable and close. She even remembered her mom's half-joking advice from that morning. Don't go spending a fortune on zippers, Tay. Inside, the place was bustling. Kids raced down aisles. A cashier called for a price check on aisle 5, and fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Taylor found a navy blue backpack pretty quickly. She waited in line, phone in hand, scrolling through messages when a man in a red polo shirt tapped her shoulder. He said he was the store manager. I need you to come with me to the back, he said flatly. Taylor blinked. What? What? Someone reported you for putting merchandise in your bag, he replied. She stared at him, confused. I haven't touched anything else. But his mind was made up. Customers stared as she was led through the store. Taylor felt their eyes cling to her, judging, labeling. In a cramped back office, the manager asked her to empty her pockets and a backpack. She did. Her hands trembled. Out came her phone, wallet, lip balm, and the new backpack, which still had the security tag. Nothing else. The manager frowned, disappointed she wasn't guilty. But he still said it was policy to call the police. Taylor pleaded explain, but it didn't matter. When the officer arrived, he was polite, even apologetic as he handcuffed her. I'm sorry, he said, but this is just procedure. She sat in the back of the cruiser, watching her life unravel through the window. This wasn't supposed to happen to girls like her. The ones who worked hard, followed rules, had dreams. Down at the precinct, they booked her for petty theft. She kept repeating it was a mistake. No one listened. Hours later, wrists still red from the cuffs, they handed her a court date and sent her home. That night, she cried into her pillow, careful not to let her parents hear. She couldn't stop thinking about everything she might lose. Her scholarship, her reputation, the future she'd worked so hard for, threatened by a lie. The court date came too fast. Her parents hired a local attorney named Mr. Denley. He was soft-spoken, indifferent, and barely paid attention to her story. These things usually work themselves out, he said. Just stay calm. Taylor walked into the Maricopa County Courthouse wearing her best dress. She clutched a folder of honor roll certificates, glowing teacher recommendations, and a letter from Stanford's admissions team. She hoped it would matter. It didn't. Judge Margaret Kearns presided. A woman with silver hair, pulled into a severe bun, and eyes that looked through people more than at them. When Taylor's name was called, the judge didn't even flinch. Taylor pleaded not guilty. Judge Kearns didn't ask for the surveillance footage that Mr. Denley briefly mentioned. She didn't ask Taylor a single question. Instead, the judge reviewed the police report with apparent disinterest, then casually announced that there was probable cause for a felony charge. Felony. The word stabbed through Taylor's chest like glass. Her whole life, the one she built honor by honor, was now dangling off the edge of a false accusation. She wanted to scream, but she'd been raised to stay calm. So she sat down, silently, tears hot behind her eyes, and thought about who she could call. Someone who would believe her. Someone who had power. And one name came to mind, her brother, Miles Monroe. But calling Miles wasn't a step, it was a detonation. He wasn't just family. He was the youngest deputy attorney general in the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Calling him meant throwing a match into a courtroom soaked in gasoline. 2 weeks passed in a blur. Taylor barely slept. Her parents barely ate. And on the morning of the next hearing, Taylor sat in the back of her father's car, staring out the window while her mother whispered prayers. She kept hearing Miles's voice from the night before. Stay calm. I'm watching everything from D.C. If it gets bad, I'll step in. She had no idea how bad it was going to get. Inside courtroom 2B, Taylor sat beside Mr. Denley. He looked more like someone waiting for jury duty than a defense attorney. He promised he'd ask for the video footage today. Judge Kearns entered, robes sweeping behind her like a storm cloud. Case number 6013. Taylor Monroe. Taylor stood. Her legs shook. Mr. Denley cleared his throat. Your Honor, the defense respectfully submits a motion to obtain the security footage from Bargain Central which shows. Denied. Judge Kearns interrupted coldly. The police report is sufficient. Trial will proceed. Taylor's mouth dropped open. She turned to Mr. Denley. Say something, she begged silently. He didn't. Not a discussion, Kearns snapped, banging her gavel. Then she turned to the young prosecutor. Do you wish to amend the charges? Yes, Your Honor, the prosecutor said, flipping a page. Based on new information, the state moves to elevate charges to felony grand theft. Gasps erupted. Mr. Denley stood up. That's outrageous. Enough, Kearns barked. Let the jury decide. Cash bail was set at $5,000. Taylor's parents looked like the ground had fallen out beneath them. Outside the courtroom, Mr. Denley mumbled something about appeals. Taylor didn't hear him. She reached for her phone and sent one message. It's happening. I need you. She didn't wait long. Her phone buzzed. Don't sign anything. I'm making calls. And across the country, Miles Monroe was already in motion. He didn't go through aides. He picked up his personal line and called an old friend, Julian Cross, Assistant U.S. Attorney in Phoenix. There's a judge in Tempe trying to bury my sister. I want eyes in that courtroom in 1 hour. Julian didn't hesitate. I'm on it. And Julian, Miles added, dig into Judge Kearns. Everything. Every complaint. Every sealed settlement. In the courthouse cafeteria, Taylor sat between her parents. Her mom stared into a paper cup of water like it was a crystal ball. Her dad rubbed his temples. Taylor's phone buzzed again. Is the judge still there? Yes. Different case now. Stay put. Tell your lawyer to do nothing unless I say so. I'm sending someone. Minutes later, a tall man in a tailored navy suit walked into the cafeteria. He moved like he belonged there. His eyes locked on Taylor. Miss Monroe. She nodded. He flashed a badge. Julian Cross. Miles sent me. Taylor exhaled so deeply it felt like she hadn't breathed since the cuffs clicked shut. Julian sat down, pulled out a notepad, and said, Tell me everything. She did. The backpack. The false accusation. The courtroom ambush. Her parents filed an arrest. Julian listened, took notes, nodded once. Then stood. We're filing an emergency motion to compel surveillance footage. Miles already found enough on Judge Kearns to rattle the walls. Taylor blinked. That fast. Julian smirked. He moves faster when he's mad. Within the hour, Julian was in the clerk's office. The clerk, a woman named Denise, paled at his badge. This court is about to be the subject of a federal investigation, he whispered. If you stall, you're part of it. She vanished into the judge's chambers. Minutes later, Taylor was summoned again this time for a reconsideration hearing. Judge Kearns looked furious. Her eyes darted between Julian and Taylor like she'd been ambushed. Julian didn't blink. Your Honor, the U.S. Attorney's Office requests immediate review of Bargain Central's footage. We also submit prior allegations of misconduct against this court. The courtroom froze. Kearns turned beet red. This is highly irregular. Julian raised a brow. And yet, here we are. She banged her gavel. Motion under review. Court adjourned. She fled. Outside, Taylor turned to Julian. Is that it? Did we win? Not yet, he said. But we've got her running. 2 hours later, a black SUV pulled up to the courthouse. Miles Monroe stepped out. No suit, just jeans and a leather jacket. Ready for war. Inside, Judge Kearns locked herself in chambers. Miles didn't care. He handed Denise an envelope. A federal investigation had begun. By the next morning, the courthouse was in chaos. Reporters swarmed the steps. Staff whispered. Bailiffs looked nervous. In the emergency hearing, Judge Kearns tried to maintain control. She didn't have it anymore. Julian stood and submitted 32 misconduct complaints, sealed settlements, and a clear pattern of discriminatory rulings. Kearns said, "This is irrelevant." Miles stood. His voice cut through the courtroom. With all due respect, when a judge's integrity is compromised, nothing else can proceed. The silence was deafening. Then came the gavel. Charges dismissed. Without prejudice. Not cheers, just stunned gasps. Taylor exhaled. For the first time, she felt weightless. Outside, Miles addressed reporters. "My sister's story isn't rare. It's the story of countless young people steamrolled by a system that refuses to see them. This ends now." That night, Kearns resigned. Investigations spread across Arizona. Old cases were reopened. Wrongful convictions overturned. Taylor quietly returned home. She didn't want glory. She just wanted peace. And she got it when Stanford reinstated her scholarship with an additional award for leadership and courage. Before classes began, Taylor took one last call. To Judge Kearns. "I'm not calling to forgive you," she said. "And I'm not here to curse you out. I'm calling to say, you lost." Kearns replied, "You don't understand how things work." "I understand enough," Taylor answered. "Enough to know I'm not living in the world you try to trap me in." She hung up, then walked to the water barefoot, letting the waves crash against her skin. She wasn't alone anymore, and neither was anyone else willing to stand up and speak.